It made me different than everyone else. I may be very introverted as a child.
Lou Ferrigno lost 80% of his hearing at just 3-year-olds called him Deaf Louie, and broke his hearing aids at home when he cried. His dad hit him. Bullies. He built strength from old things scrap so they'll never feel weak again, but for 5 years, his success brought him new pain. Had to go through Hulk makeup sessions that made his skin burn, and he tore his wrist. Stopping his daughter from being hurt. His wife of 43 years has left him now that he is 71 years old. Telling them he used his huge size to scare her with the story of Louis. Dear Lou Ferrigno is truly sad. He was born in 1951, but he grew up from the start. Life didn't give him an early on, but as a child he had trouble with not the kind of painful ear infections that leave in a week, but the kind that damage that can't be fixed. By the time when he was 3, he had lost 75 to 80% of his hearing, but no one heard the scary part. Even knew his folks until then. They knew something was wrong when they clapped their hands behind him, and having no response meant that he spent his early years mostly alone, not letting anyone know. He couldn't find out what the doctors finally found out. He had hearing aids put in, but this in the 1950s. They weren't small or not a secret, they were big, awkward boxes, wires around his chest. Lou didn't like how they were hanging from them. He once said it made him look like a freak from Mars. These things helped him. You can hear a little better but not better, and because he didn't hear enough words early on in his speech, he was. A lot of people have already noticed, and the kids at school were mean to him. They called him Deaf Louie and Deaf Dumb. They made fun of the way he talked, and some of them even just hit him in the chest to break his hearing aids, and he couldn't fight back. His body was thin and slow, and he felt like an outsider, so he ran away into. He read Superman comic books. Avengers, Spider-Man, and Hulk. People who didn't belong but had those stories gave him a secret power. Something that school never did. At home was just as tough as his father. Matthew Ferrigno is a Brooklyn police officer. Couldn't see why they should have a reason when Lou came home crying from being picked on. His father didn't support him, instead, he hit him. "Don't go home if you can't stand your own fights," he said when Lou's marks came back. Slipped and fell because he couldn't get up. His dad locked the back of the classroom, the gym in the basement, and said it would stay locked up until he got better grades. Lou later said, "My dad turned me down. It wasn't because I was perfect, but instead that rejection broke him. It lit he wanted to be so strong with fire that no one would ever hurt him again. So Lou, he got used to sitting in the front row of every in class. We learned how to read lips like a pro. If a teacher turned away to write, he was down on the board, but he didn't always tell me where he was going. Teachers. He was deaf and too embarrassed to tell them. But he watched, noticed, guesses, and used people's faces to figure things out and body language. It was hard, but he got through school by concentrating hard. And grit. Everything changed in 1964. Lou was 13 years old when he saw Steve Reeves was in a movie called Hercules. Played the lead part, and to Lou it was just like seeing a real superhero. Reeves wasn't just strong, he also looked like the comic book heroes that Lou looked up to. Lou knew what he wanted at that moment. Wanted to read more than just strength, he really wanted to become it, the Hulk. He used to call the Hulk the Green Monster. Christmas Claus wanted Lou to be strong and kind. To tell him he was strong enough to never be picked on again, but gyms were pricey, and his family didn't have any cash. That's why he made his own weights. He was only 13 when he went to the dump and some old cans with cement in them and put them on a broomstick. He did great on his first dumbbell bench press. 2 big wooden boxes, used some hinges and put a pillow on top of it too. It hurt my back, he said. But I tried to copy everything, she said. I saw in the magazines that he kept working out like this for years, and at age 17, I joined a real gym in NJ, but by then he had already made his body strong. With just scrap metal and drive, bodybuilding still didn't pay the bills, so in 1969, when he was only 17, Lou got a terrible sheet metal job, Brooklyn business that paid $10 an hour, which was pretty good back then, about $75 today, but it was too loud and full of machines that can steal one finger for someone who was almost deaf. It was awful, but Lou kept working. He had to get the money for food. Others ate sandwiches while others ate vitamins. It had cottage cheese, cooked eggs, and tuna in it. Cheese to help him work out, and then one day things changed in 1972 when a coworker got a hydraulic press, broke his hand. That was the last one, right next to Lou's straw. He left and didn't come back. No one could count on a job in bodybuilding. There's no pay coming in, but Lou in 1973, it paid off to take the chance. Lou Ferrigno was only 21 years old when he shocked everyone when he won both Mr. the United States and Mr. Universe. No one his age had done that before. He got to be 6 feet 5 inches. He was about 6 feet tall and weighed about 285 pounds. Like a giant compared to other bodybuilders, but what made him rise even more, what he already had, was powerful. Stayed alive as a child, Lou lost most of his getting an ear infection. Kids were picked on him. He began lifting weights not only to get stronger but also to feel less alone. After a year, he did the horrible thing again. In 1975, he won Mr. Universe a second time. He tried out for Mr. Olympia but didn't win. Getting third place put him in the sports elite. Everything changed that same year. There was a video called Pumping Iron. While it was being filmed, the rivalry between it was Lou and Arnold Schwarzenegger, who he weighed almost 50 pounds more than that size. More than Arnold, but Arnold had something besides that. He was joking when he invited Lou and his parents to breakfast before the battle over coffee and eggs. Arnold: Lou only needed one more, he said with a smile. Month to get ready, and then he talked about having won 6 times as if he'd already won again. Lou called Arnold cocky, but Arnold's plan worked. Lou Arnold, who came in third, won his 6th prize. With 2 Mr. Universe wins, Lou still holds the crown. Not having enough money to pay for bodybuilding, it took Lou 3 years to work in Brooklyn. By 1975, he was working in a metal shop and making $10 an hour. Had to drop out of events. He was still in peak shape, but the prize money wasn't enough to cover it. His bills. In 1980, Lou got married to Carla Green. He only had $5,000 saved up. Carla had $7,000. That was all she said. We saved money and built a house. Built it from scratch. Lou's size was at the time his arms were measured 23.5 inches longer than Arnold's. He could 900 pounds, but no one has ever proved that his strength was still real. That was his height and weight. Lou always looked skinny, didn't he? Huge, but still balanced, and everything his came before the steroid-heavy age. Muscles were built by working hard every day. Rules and the need to show. He in 1975, when he was only 24 years old, Lou shocked friends once more. He left. He wasn't hurt while exercising. Beat up, he couldn't afford to keep going to most of the events. Paid just $1,000 in 1977. Things changed again. They wanted behind the Incredible Hulk a big person to play the Green Beast. At first, they called Arnold Bruce Wayne. He was 6 feet 1 inch and all strength. But they said he wasn't tall enough. They tried someone else who was 7 feet 2 inches in. Richard Kiel, the actor who played Jaws in James Bond movies before they even started making movies with him. But then strange things happened to the director's young son. Went to the set and took a quick look at while dressed up. He told his dad, "That's not the Hulk," and that was the end of everything. Changed, they began to look again, this time for someone who looked like the huge ripped Hulk from the comics, and at the same time, it was scary for Lou. Ferrigno was busy getting ready for the 1977 Mr. Olympia. He got a call out of the blue for he showed up to an interview, and they painted he was green and told him to just be like Lou. The Hulk said he stood in front of the camera, barked and moved like a wild animal. And hired him right away. Stepped up his bid for the Olympics to win the role that a single choice made all his life, but the real work hadn't even began. Every day of shooting with making up for almost 4 hours wasn't just it was thick, chalky green pancake paint. Making up that stuck to everything. 6 more layers were added, and then came the fake face, fake nose, and made to order. The white contacts were the worst part of my teeth. He could only wear the lenses for 15 minutes. They hurt so much that they can only stand for minutes at a time. A lot of the time during the pilot show, Lou stayed making up as the Hulk for 20 days straight. 20 hours, yes 20, it was so hard he had to have his own shower built into his camper to clean off the paint, but the green still wouldn't come off. His toenails stayed green for 6 months. The physical toll was terrible. One time in a scene from 1978 when the Hulk lifts a car, Lou tore a muscle, and wore green makeup that burned my eyes. Especially on hot days when they are shooting took place outside in over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, the changes in weight where he had to bulk up for some parts, which drove him crazy. Get fat quickly and then lose weight for interviews. He was told it was bad for him by his dietitian. The fake limbs made his skin break out. And he had to get help between seasons. In 1981, he told People magazine that the chemicals and the stress his body was 42 years old because he hadn't slept enough. Even though he was only 30, Lou pushed himself more than everyone else. He did 95% of the tricks that went his safety rules at CBS, but he didn't care that he thought no stuntman could do like the Hulk could. Once he ran through a wall that wasn't there. Built right and hurt his back, but he filmed again the next night at 4 o'clock in an early morning scene. The Hulk had to flip a car with wires, the tools didn't work. Lou, she was worn out, mad, and green all over. "You think I'm not painting?" he yelled. "Are you going to flip that car over?" Afterwards he flipped the car with his raw strength. He told himself, "I think I really became that night." The Hulk hurt his back. Even now still hurts him, but if you ask him if it was worth it, he'll say yes. Tell you he doesn't feel bad about what happened. Even worse because he couldn't hear. He lost most of his hearing when he was 3 years old. His ears were sore that he had to read lips to do what they said on set, and it worked fine in calm scenes but not when there is action shots. It was a mess, and directors couldn't yell cut, so he had to guess when a scene started. Was sometimes over his hearing aids. He broke mid-shot and missed some important shots. After some time, he finally wore 2 at just once to be careful, and a lot of fans didn't know that they kept going. I didn't hear the Hulk's growls and roars. Always his. At first Ted Cassidy lurched. The Addams Family did the speech. Casey died in 1979, and Charles Lou wasn't the official when Napier took over voice, but that changed many years after 2012 for the Avengers. Lou's voice was finally used. His screams and growls were mixed with Mark Ruffin's, and again in Age of Ultron in 2015. That meant Lou Ferrigno's voice had been in the Hulk for 37 years, longer than anyone else, but fame wasn't easy for fans. They'd go up to the Hulk instead of Lou, excited and wide-eyed, but they never called. They didn't see the man, they called him by name. Under the paint that was getting old. He once said that being known for something he couldn't even talk about, it seemed odd that he had wanted to be since he was a kid reading comic books, but no one knew who he was. He was really on set, and he was by himself. It was too hot and thick for him to stay in a trailer with air conditioning between takes to keep from getting too hot. That meant while Bixby and the rest of the crew, Lou sat by himself and laughed and talked. It was like the sweating and waiting. Being alone is always on Hulk's mind. Outside always misunderstood. In 1983 Lou, he was ready to make his dream come true. Steve Reeves was someone I had always looked up to. First Hercules, and now it was his time to play the famous tough guy. Shekules was the name of the movie, but wasn't like anything from ancient Greece. It was full of lasers, robots, and wild 8s. Skilled in sci-fi effects. He worked harder than ever and said he was in the best shape of his life. His muscles were huge, and some people said they looked like they might pop, but when the movie came out, seeing something felt on August 26 off. Ferrigno's voice wasn't his. Every word he spoke had been named by Mark Smith, but to him that wasn't enough to justify taking away his voice. It's too bad. What he said later, it would have become a classic if seeing Arnold hurt even more. Face of Schwarzenegger, his old rival. The same voiceover work years earlier in Hercules in New York. Still, Arnold's job took off while Lou's stopped. The movie failed, and people in Hollywood began calling Ferrigno a character in the one-oat movies. The places where things were even worse. Lou got married to Carla Green in 1980. They had just $12,000 that Carla brought $7,000, and Lou had $5,000, which was a lot of money for someone who had just played Hulk in hit TV show from 1977 to 1982, but before becoming famous, fame didn't mean money. A star. Lou made $10 an hour in a plant for sheet metal in Brooklyn. It was man lost his hand one day from hard work in a machine. Lou quit the same week once the Hulk show was over. The money she stepped in and it dried up quickly. Became his manager and booked his shows and went on the road with him to get their lives back on track. We built our money and our house, which we built from nothing, she said later that year. Went too far. Vince McMahon, the wealthy wrestler, offered Lou $500,000 a year, almost $875,000 right now, to join his new world. Lou said no to the Bodybuilding Association, but he almost said yes, which showed how bad things had become that year. Figueroa tried to get back into bodybuilding. It had been 17 years since his last. He became the biggest competitor in McMahon. Offer made to a bodybuilder has ever been $500,000 a year. That alone beat anything Arnold ever made, but there was one catch. McMahon wanted all players to not take drugs for 3 months in a row. On the other hand, Lou didn't like that plan. One hand, Joe Weider is a bodybuilding star. Gave Lou $250,000 in cash and $250,000 in ads for his line of sportswear. In 1992, Lou decided to go wider and stepped on. He was 41 years old when he took the stage at Mr. Olympia. He came in 12th after a long time. Right away, it was more than fine. It was a return, but Ferrigno's strongest moment wasn't on TV or the stage. Took place at home in 2020 with his daughter. Sean was having fun near his truck when a 1,000-pound air pump fell over, and right away, Lou jumped forward and grabbed. He stopped the machine from running, but tore his arms off the bones. It sounded like a shirt ripping, he said as he lowered his arm. Thought it looked like a child's. It was curled up in his armpit, and one of the worst hurts a lifter can get. He had to go through a lot of pain, and his career was but an NFL player named Bubba Smith took him to a doctor. The next day, Ferrigno had surgery. He came back after 6 painful months. He wasn't able to pull 600 pounds again. He was a strong father who would do anything, even tear his own body apart too. In the early 1990s, he wanted to keep his child safe. There was a strange event in Hollywood. Lou Ferrigno played the TV character The Incredible Hulk. Quietly took over Michael Jackson's. There was no one expecting it to happen. Wasn't a stunt or a chance to take pictures. It began because Jackson's doctor said Ferrigno was the only one who could. Jackson couldn't train in public, so Lou saw him 3 or 4 times. He went to Jackson's house last week. But this wasn't about lifting weights, about flexibility and back pain treatment, problems with light treadmill work and stretches, balance balls that were carefully made, things Jackson does to keep moving on stage. Jackson did not fall apart at all while ate only vegetables all the time, and sometimes they only ate once a day when getting ready for big shows. As the years passed, something deeper took shape. They talked about the childhoods they both had. Both of the strict dads were pushed hard. Was the TV's biggest man, the other was the best-known singer in the world. Jackson taught Ferrigno how as to moonwalk right there in the gym. Lou said it felt like space after workouts. Jackson would become a kid playing hide-and-seek with him again. Ferrigno's kids watched as the king of the pop star became just Mr. Mom, but Ferrigno's in his 50s, he didn't stay in Hollywood for good. At age 53, he shocked everyone once more. Change your clothing, this time as a real police officer, not just in a TV part. He practiced for the stunt, took tests, and passed them. Background checks let him get guns. Getting certified after taking first aid courses, he became a deputy sheriff on call in Los Angeles County, and it wasn't just honorary, he meant it, and his father meant it. Had been a top cop in New York, so over time, this felt personal to Lou. In San Luis Obispo as well, then Irving, Texas. By 2018, he had worn the badge, and he said he didn't 3 times get shortcuts because of your fame. He did, he earned it, and yet, while most I saw him as the Hulk in a whole new way. The crowd got to know Lou through his funny acts. From 2000 to 2007, he was in 20 movies. Play episodes of King of Queens, and not the superhero version of himself. This was a toned-down joke from Lou having fun with Kevin James from live crowds making fun of his own fame, and loved it. He said he could connect to the show because I go to people who didn't go through the same thing, get to know the Incredible Hulk, began liking him for a whole new reason. The scary strong guy was no longer the same way. Then came a big, funny neighbor. Truth TV in 2012, Ferrigno joined the That's When Things Got Weird on Celebrity Apprentice. Fights broke out and things got rough. The screen went crazy with a high one moment. As a joke, Lisa Lampanelli called Lou and another dumb contestant said they had 5 brain cells in a tense office fight. Lou snapped. "Lisa's lucky she's not a man," he said. "I would throw her right away if she was." It got worse after that. Through that window, he said on live TV that she didn't working out changed her brain, but even with for all the trouble his team won $50,000 for the connection of muscular dystrophy. One video showed them dancing while cleaning. He had 8 parts of the video before getting fired in episode 9 after only 3 years. After that, things got bad at home. In 2015, Lou sued his own brother twice. Andy's brother ran a business called Andrew Ferrigno Exercise Gear. Lou said that wasn't right because it used they had the same last name but were not related. The first case against him asked for a note. The second person asked Andrew to don't use the word exercise at that time. Lou was thought to be worth $12 million. Andrew was mad. He told TMZ, "Why does I want him to suck me dry?" Unsure of what to do, Andrew finally gave in. He changed the company's name to Andrew Ferrigno. What Lou Ferrigno is best known for the first Hulk from the TV show in the 1970s, but his voice was heard in today's world. Marvel movies too. In 2008 it was Ferrigno snarling in Incredible Hulk, loud and angry behind the scenes, and when Loki was slammed by Hulk, who called him a tiny god. In the Avengers in 2012, it was just Mark Ruffalo. It was a mix of Ferrigno's the voice of Ruffalo and the sound of wonder. All of the tricks were mixed into one that carried until Age of Ultron comes out in 2015, but after that, when Hulk began to talk more like somebody in Thor Ragnarok stopped. He didn't take it lightly when he used Ferrigno. He thought the character was getting too far away. Far from the wild, dangerous animal he was. Ferrigno was once played off-screen, keeping a fight hidden that no one saw. At age 3, he lost 85% of his hearing after by age 4, he had a major ear infection. "I had hearing aids, but they never worked right." He couldn't hear himself speak, changed the way he talked. For real people he let him because